Hey guys, so due to popular demand and frankly my boredom, I'm going to make a tutorial just to demonstrate all of the basic tools of SolidWorks quick. And this will be the prelude to actually starting to model the 1911 pistol that I plan on making a tutorial of as well. So if you've watched my first SolidWorks video, I kind of touched on the main features that differentiate it between mesh modeling, and this tutorial is going to actually show you the introductory steps of drawing and making basic parts and components. So just like before, I'm going to start with new page, part, OK. And the way SolidWorks is laid out is almost like the way ribbons work in Windows 7 programs. Up here you've got your features tab. Most of the features are disabled until you actually have three-dimensional geometry to work with. Sketch, surfaces, sheet metal, evaluate, dim expert, render tools, and office products. A few of these I've added myself, so if you're using SolidWorks and you don't see these, you can right click them and you can add or remove the toolbars you wish to have visible. The first one you typically start out with is sketch or features. If you click extrude, it's going to inevitably bring you into sketch mode anyway, so either one will do that for you. I'm going to start out with sketch just because that's what I'm used to doing. So I'm going to click sketch, and you're going to see three datum planes pop up: right plane, front plane, and top plane. And these are the three default planes that will always appear at startup that you'll be able to sketch on. And typically, depending on the part you're making, you start on the front plane or the top plane, but there are a few occasions where starting on the right plane is beneficial as well. I'm going to start on the front plane because we're just doodling right now. So, alright, and all of your drawing tools are up here. If you watched the video before, I went through all of them and just kind of told you what they did, but now I'm actually going to use them so you can see what they do. We'll start with the line command. Obviously, click one point, drag anywhere else on the screen, and it'll create a line. Hit escape to end your command, and then you can hit enter if you want to continue, if you want to start a new line somewhere else, and then just hit escape again. Underneath line, you do have center line. Center line is also a construction line. So like if I connect these, they're not actual geometry boundaries. So if I go to extrude, it can't do anything with this profile because it considers it open at this end and this end. So, rectangle, there's quite a few different rectangles. Corner to corner, very useful. Center to corner. Three points. That's the most practical one for making rectangles that aren't vertical and vertical and horizontal. And then parallelogram. And I'll move this over a little bit. Get some more drawing room. Slots. Slot 1. Slot 2. The only difference between slot 1 and slot 2 is I started at the center of this slot instead of both endpoints. 3-point arc slot, this one's pretty nice. I make my arc and then I drag my slot out. And then you have a center point arc slot, so I know where my center is. I know where my two ends are. And there's my slot. Circle has two. I mean, this one's pretty much just a given. I think every program uses a circle like that. 3-point perimeter circle. Arcs. This was a 3-point arc. 1, 2, 3. Tangent arc. Well, it needs an endpoint to work, so we're going to choose this endpoint here. And as you can see, it swings out tangent to that endpoint. Center point arc, this works exactly the same way as the slot does, only it's not going to generate a slot. Polygon. The default parameters for it are 6 sides, all equally spaced. You can change it to however many sides you'd like. So here we go, we'll just make a hexagon quick. And it's inscribed outside the circle. You can also have them where they're inscribed in the circle. It's not really crucial how you make it, because if you do to the outside of the circle, your edge is just going to be the radius. If you do inside the circle, your point will be the radius. Just depends on how you want to dimension it. Then you've got the spline tool. Spline basically just adds a bunch of curves that are always tangent to one another. And the equation-driven spline, I've actually never used it. I don't really have much need to, but I believe you just click, you type in the equations you need to generate your line, and it will actually generate them. And I don't have enough experience with that one, so I'm not really going to be able to demo that one. Fit spline. This one, if you have geometry in existence already, you can tell it to, you know, follow a contour or something like that. I don't use splines much. Most of my work is very precise, and splines aren't the most precise way to make things, so I generally don't use them. Get a little more space here. Ellipses. Typical ellipse is defined by your minor radius, by the major radius, or you can do it the other way around, I'm pretty sure. Major, minor. Partial ellipse. Then I can choose how much of that ellipse I want. Parabola. That's a big parabola. Well, you get the idea. Fillets and chamfers. So we're going to make an edge quick. We'll make 2 edges. Alright, with the fillet command, select 2 perpendicular, well, they don't have to be perpendicular, just intersecting lines. Type in my value, hit enter or OK. There's my fillet. I can do the same thing with a chamfer. Text I can demonstrate that quick. It needs to be on a construction line, Like if I select this construction line and type, you'll see my letters appearing right there. They're not really useful in sketch mode unless you already have a model. That way you can either emboss or relief the text into your model. And points are good references for future sketches. They're not necessarily used in a single sketch for, because otherwise you have endpoints that are already generated by the lines and things that you make. And then we've got the modifying tools for the sketch mode. We've got trim, extend. Extend I haven't really found useful because trim actually does that. Like if I'm in the power trim command and I pick a line that isn't intersecting anything, and I click and hold down, I can actually extend it. And same with this one, I can click and extend. Now if I click and swipe through it, now I just cut it away. And then we've got corner, which will generate the corner of any given intersecting lines. Trim away inside, I just select two boundaries, and then I don't have anything intersecting them, but it would trim everything in between those two lines. Outside does the exact opposite. If I select these two boundaries and I have lines intersecting through, it's going to cut everything out except what's inside. Trim to closest does exactly what it says, trims to the closest next intersection. Convert entities I can't demonstrate right now because we don't have model geometry, but let me make something quick. I'm going to get rid of all these doodles. Do it that way. Okay, now I'm just going to make a parallelogram quick. And I don't care what size it is right now, so I'm just going to extrude it. I'll do 100. Okay, now say I want to modify this shape and I want to use the lines that are already its edges. So I'm going to go to Sketch, pick this face to sketch on, go to my front view. If I go to Convert Entities and click this face and hit OK, it just turned those lines into sketch lines. So now I can go in and, maybe I want to put a line here and here, and then I want to trim out these and subtract a little bit of that. Subtract 50. So that's what that just did, and it saved me time because I didn't have to redraw these lines right over the top of each other. I could just use what was already there. Offset, I'll show you offset quick. Let's make another sketch. Let's say I have, okay, I'll convert this entity here, convert that line. Now it's a sketch entity. I want to offset it. Offset it 25, and we'll go in the opposite direction. Okay. So that's offset. And now let's say I have, this is a closed boundary here, and I have a center line. We'll put it here. Now I can use the mirror command up here. I'll select my profile, and then I'll come down here and click Mirror About, select my center line, and it reflects it over the center line. in its exact position. So it won't move over to match that edge or anything because all I did was just mirror it. Linear pattern. If I select again this profile and tell it to be, let's say 200 apart. No. 1000. There we go. And I can do, 4 of them this way, and if I really want, I can do 5 in the next direction, and we'll tell that to be 50 apart. So then if I click OK, there they are. Circular pattern. The default center point is always going to be your origin unless you define it to be somewhere else, and it already sees that I have that selected, so I'm just going to leave it like that, and we'll do like 6 of them. So then I've got 6 patterned in a circle. Move I almost never use because it's not really necessary. When you can constrain things, moving them is kind of pointless. But I guess I can do it just to demonstrate it. If I select these here, tell it where I want to move it from this point, and then go ahead and move it. Oh, it didn't like that. It usually wants you to move it to a fixed position. So somewhere where this point would be sitting on here or something like that. That's about it for the sketch commands. Yeah, we'll discard this one. And we'll make a new one quick. So I showed you the sketch tools. Now we're just going to have a little bit of fun with it. We'll make a rectangle, or well, let's make a square. Now if I want to dimension this to be precise, I'm going to click Smart Dimension. I'm going to choose the side I want to dimension, and we'll make this 50 millimeters. And since it's a square, I'm going to tell this side to be 50 millimeters as well. I'm going to go to Features, Extrude, and I'm going to go 50 in that direction. So now we've got a cube. I'm going to sketch, and I want to sketch on the right face of this, so I'm going to click the right face. And it should usually spin and be oriented on that side. If it's not, you just hit spacebar and click the view you want to use. Now I'm going to draw a circle. No. Find the midpoint there, hover down, and there's the center. We'll make this 25, and just to make sure that's the center, my circle will turn black when it's fully defined. There we go. I'm going to go Features, Extrude Cut, and it's already going 50, so I'll just hit OK. Let me cut a circle in there. I'm going to fillet an edge. We'll fillet these 2 edges, and then we'll chamfer these 2. Fillet and chamfer are right underneath one another. If you have fillets automatically selected by default, if you want to chamfer, just click the drop down menu and select chamfer. What else can we add? Let's make that surface come up. So I'm going to look at it from the top. I'm going to choose Convert Entities, select that face, hit OK, go to Features, Extrude, and that one's going to come up 50. Let's do 25. Brought that surface up. Another nifty trick is the shell command. And this one is a little difficult to explain, so I'm just going to go ahead and show it. This is your wall thickness. We're going to do 5 millimeters. Show preview. And what it's doing is it's actually creating a cavity all the way around my geometry with a 5 millimeter wall. And that's a little thick, so I'm going to do 2.5 millimeters and hit OK. And as you can see, it's actually hollowed out our geometry and left a 5 millimeter wall around all of our features. So if I do, oops, let me do right side view here, or let's do isometric. And then I'm going to click section view right here and select my right plane and hit OK. Now you can see what it looks like on the inside. So it's completely cavitated with 2.5 millimeter walls. Shell is a really useful tool. And you just click section view to undo it. Actually, it just turns it off. It's a feature that turns on and off. It doesn't make any permanent modifications to your part. And those are all of the basic commands for modeling in SolidWorks. We'll get into the advanced ones later on once we start making some parts. So I hope this little brief demo was beneficial to you, so you at least know what all the tools do. And after this video, I'd recommend getting into the 1911 tutorial I'm working on. That way you'll actually get a real world understanding of how these tools apply to making real parts. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the 1911 tutorial.